It's Thursday, February 4th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you the area's latest local news. It's also Front Page Thursday, so we'll be taking a look at our HAN Network newspapers this week later in the show. Rob, of course, will bring us the latest weather and the latest in local sports, and Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history. But first, on to some of the stories we're following today. A 51-year-old Stratford resident has been identified as the pedestrian that was fatally struck on Tuesday on I-95 in Darien. Connecticut State Police are still investigating what they are classifying as an untimely death of Timothy Sheridan of Gurley Road in Stratford. State Police said they received numerous 911 calls regarding a pedestrian that was reportedly struck by a tractor trailer on I-95 north of Exit 9. Sheridan was pronounced deceased upon arrival of Darien emergency responders. The victim was removed and taken to the medical examiner's office. Multiple lanes of 95 remained closed for an extended period of time for that investigation. State police are continuing to investigate the incident as an untimely death. And just in this morning, Trumbull Town Clerk Suzanne Burr-Monaco and her husband Dominic were involved in a very serious car accident last night, according to Trumbull's first selectman Tim Herbst. Herbst said, by the grace of God, Suzanne's quick instincts and the tremendous job by first responders and emergency room personnel at St. Vincent's, both of them are alive, awake, and alert, being treated for their injuries. Herbst said in an email there will be a long road of recovery, and he was asking all employees and residents to keep the Monacos in their thoughts and prayers. And Trumbull volunteer firefighters reported on a Facebook post last night that responders pulled two people from the wreckage of a crash on Churchill Road. We're waiting to confirm if this is the same accident that Burr-Monaco was involved in. The two-car accident occurred between Edison Road and Tate's Mill Road. Two occupants in one of the vehicles were extricated and transported to local hospitals in the care of Trumbull EMS, and Trumbull police are investigating. And in an update on a story we brought you yesterday, recent attacks on dogs by a rabid fox and a pack of coyotes have caused Weston Animal Control Officer Mark Harper to issue a warning to Weston residents. On Saturday, January 30th, Animal Control Assistant Chris Zukelski responded to a call from a resident that a fox was attacking a dog outside a home on Newtown Turnpike in Weston. When Zukelski arrived, he had the homeowner bring the dog inside the house. He then caught the fox by snaring it with a catch pole. The fox was aggressive and tried to attack him, but he avoided contact. The fox was then euthanized and sent to the state viral lab to determine if it had rabies. Harper received a call on Tuesday saying the fox had tested positive for the rabies virus. Harper said this is the first fox attack he's encountered in his many years as Weston's animal control officer. The fact the fox was rabid explained its aggressive behavior. Red foxes are widespread and abundant in Connecticut. They're accustomed to human activity and seldom are aggressive toward people, according to the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. But when foxes are rabid, that's a different story, and they are quite dangerous. In 2014, a rabid fox attacked 5 people in East Windsor, including a 7-year-old boy on a school playground. Harper said towns surrounding Weston have had reports of rabid foxes, but this is the first for Weston. Rabies is a deadly virus that infects the central nervous system. All warm-blooded mammals, including humans, can get rabies. The virus is transmitted through blood or saliva from infected mammals and is invariably fatal once symptoms appear. You can get more on that story at thewestonforum.com. And Shelton emergency responders had a busy Wednesday afternoon on Route 8, according to Echo Hose Hook and Ladder's Facebook page. On Wednesday afternoon, Echo Hose and other emergency responders were dispatched to Route 8 South between exits 13 and 12 for a motor vehicle accident that required extrication. EMS treated victims at the scene, and while that car was being placed on a wrecker, another motor vehicle accident occurred in the southbound lane. This time it was a 3-car accident with one vehicle on fire. Shelton crews stretched a line and quickly knocked down a small engine compartment fire. And while the vehicles from that accident were being loaded up onto wreckers, a third accident was called in. It occurred on Route 8 North just past exit 11, but according to Echo Hose, it was only a broken down vehicle. But good work by all there. And former South Salem, New York resident Robert Durst pleaded guilty to illegally possessing a gun in New Orleans on February 3rd. Durst, who is a convicted felon, is not legally permitted to have a gun. And when the FBI arrested Durst in March 2015 over concerns that he would flee the country while the FBI investigated his connection to the murder of Susan Berman, they found him in possession of a .38 revolver. As part of the plea bargain arrangement, Durst will be sentenced to 85 months in federal prison. He will later be transferred to a federal prison in Los Angeles to face alleged murder charges in the Berman case. According to Durst's plea agreement, he must be transferred to Los Angeles by August 18th. He is also being sued by his missing wife's family for $100 million. Ann McCormick, Kathleen McCormick, Durst's mother, and her 3 sisters, Carol Bamonte, Mary Hughes, and Virginia McKeon, who filed the lawsuit on November 30th of last year, argue that Robert Durst violated the family's right to sepulcher. This is a law that grants the family the right to take immediate possession of the deceased body for burial purposes. Durst was the subject of an HBO series, The Jinx, The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst, which explored his connection to the disappearance of his wife Kathleen, in addition to the deaths of Berman and Morris Black. Weston attorney Ellen Strauss, a friend of Kathy Durst, was featured in the series. And in some other news, a 26-year-old Shelton woman who had to be revived using Narcan after she crashed her car last November was charged with driving under the influence on a warrant last Friday. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that Gina Garamella of Moose Hill Road in Shelton turned herself in at police headquarters and also was charged with failure to drive in the proper lane. She was released after posting a $3,500 bond. Garamella was traveling west on Kings Highway in Fairfield around 7 p.m. November 3rd. As she approached the road's intersection with Grassmere Avenue, she failed to make a right or left turn and instead drove straight ahead, striking a railroad bridge abutment, according to the report. There was minor damage to the car, but Garamella was not conscious when police arrived and was not able to breathe on her own. When paramedics arrived, they administered a Narcan spray and she quickly awakened but appeared to be confused. Garamella was taken to St. Vincent's Medical Center in Bridgeport, where her blood tested positive for opiates. And according to the Associated Press, a Connecticut town is considering a program that would arm teachers at its only school. Kent selectmen voted 2-1 on Wednesday to prevent information about the Faster Saves Lives program to the Kent Board of Education. The board will ultimately decide whether to implement the program at the pre-K through 8th grade Kent Center School. The nonprofit Faculty Administrator Safety Training and Emergency Response Program would provide trauma kits and firearms training to school personnel in the event of a hostile act of intrusion. The program would also allow anonymous volunteers to carry weapons at school. It offers 26 hours of training during a 3-day class in Ohio. But switching gears now, we're going to throw it to Rob Adams for a look at today's forecast. Rob.
All right, Kate, good morning, everyone. So we're getting there. We're getting back to a nicer day outside after all the rain yesterday, but it'll be mostly cloudy today with a high near 54 and the wind out of the northwest at 6 miles per hour. But again, 54, and we're in early February. We'll take the clouds, not so bad with the temperatures, but again, we still have something we're looking at for next week. Slight chance of rain between 10 and 1 and a chance of snow as we go into the overnight hours, cloudy and a low of 28. For Friday, slight chance of snow before 10, cloudy through mid-morning, gradual clearing after that, high near 39 with wind chill values between 20 and 30, so we are getting that hit of winter once again. And generally speaking for accumulations, we're sitting right right within an inch throughout the entire area. Mostly clear for Friday night, low 25, mostly sunny and a high of 42 for Saturday, mostly sunny, 41 for Sunday. And as you return to next week and you figure out whether or not it was Peyton Manning or Cam Newton winning the Super Bowl, we have a partly sunny day and a high near 34, but I'll tell you what, it won't be Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl, and I say that for Eric Gendron because he's directing. Stratford has 52 right now, Wilton has 51, and in Shelton it is 50 degrees as we look outside, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, we're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Dang takes a look back on this day in history. Rob has the latest in local sports, including what's coming up today, and we have some more headlines after this.
Had a sports injury that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist quickly. Their highly trained orthopedic professionals expertly treat you without an appointment. Skiing, snowboard, or sports accident, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk. Call 203-845-2070 or coastalorthoexpress.com. Find them on Facebook at Coastal Ortho CT.
Darien Sport Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sport Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
It's the new year. The to-do list is long and it's easy to feel pulled in many directions at once. Your professional personal shoppers at Walter Stewart's are ready to check groceries off your list by shopping for you. Save extra time this year and spend it doing more important things. Great food and wine delivered to your home with the same-day service. Shop Stewart's online at stewartsmarket.com.
Well, there's still a bite out on the water. Most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With two convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday right here on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Thursday, February 4th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, bringing you an update on a story we mentioned earlier. We just received confirmation on something. As we mentioned, Trumbull Town Clerk Suzanne Burr Monaco and her husband Dominic were involved in a very serious car accident last night, according to First Selectman Tim Herbst. We've confirmed that this was the accident that Trumbull volunteer firefighters reported in a Facebook post last night. Responders pulled two people from the wreckage of the crash on Churchill Road. The two-car accident occurred between Edison Road and Tate's Mill, and two occupants were extricated and transported to local hospitals. Trumbull police are investigating. First Selectman Herbst said that by the grace of God, Suzanne's quick instincts and a tremendous job done by our first responders and emergency room personnel, both of them are alive, awake, and alert, being treated for their injuries. Herbst went on to say that there will be a long road of recovery, and he was asking all employees and residents to keep the Monacos in their thoughts and prayers. But it's time now to throw it to Donald Eng, who's going to take a look back on this day in history. Check it out.
Actually knowing someone became an unnecessary part of being friends. But first, to 1783 in Edo, now Tokyo, 46 of the 47 legendary Ronin commit seppuku, which is ritual suicide, as recompense for avenging their master's death. According to the story, a group of samurai who were left leaderless, that is Ronin, after their feudal lord Asano Naganori was compelled to commit seppuku for assaulting a court official. The Ronin avenged their master's honor by killing the court official. In turn, they themselves were obligated to commit seppuku for the crime of murder. This true story was popularized in Japanese culture and in a 2013 Keanu Reeves movie as emblematic of loyalty, sacrifice, persistence, and honor that people should live with in their daily lives. 1789, George Washington unanimously elected the first president of the United States by the U.S. Electoral College. Washington remains the only president to be elected unanimously, and he did it twice. 1861, during the American Civil War at Montgomery, Alabama, delegates from 6 breakaway states meet and form the Confederate States of America. By the way, don't be misled by modern revisions. Every Confederate state, in its resolution of secession, named protecting the rights of slaveholders as their primary reason for the split. And finally, now we go to 2004. According to this, something pretty cool.
Meeting people online, it's commonplace for those looking for love, friendship, or networking, perhaps to find a job. And now there's a new form of cyber matchmaking, college networking websites. Is this perhaps the next big thing? In Watertown, Massachusetts, Mark Zuckerberg, creator of Harvard's thefacebook.com. Mark, if somebody was to put the question to you about the magnitude of what you think you've launched, how big do you think your product or your service is?
Well, it's impossible to tell. When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200. And from there, we're going to launch a bunch of side applications, which should keep people coming back to the site and maybe could make something cool.
At 2004, Facebook, then called The Facebook, founded by Mark Zuckerberg. Work productivity has never been the same. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Ing.
Thanks, Don. It's time now to throw it over to Rob Adams for the latest in local sports. Rob, I know we have a big day coming up.
We do. Very big day coming up, Kate, and a lot to talk about in the sports report, so we'll dive into it. In boys basketball, Tyler Sweeney went off for 30 points, including 11 in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough as Sweeney's New Canaan Rams fell to Fairfield Ward 69-61. The Mustangs outscored the Rams 29-21 in the fourth and were 11 of 13 from the line down the stretch. Giacomo Brancato had 19 to lead the Mustangs. Elsewhere on the scoreboard, it was West Hill over St. Joseph 54-53. Staples over Norwalk 64-52. Darien by 9 over, Wilton by 9 over Darien. Ridgefield all over Central. Ludlow takes care of Trinity Catholic. Danbury over Brian McMahon, and Stamford knocked off Greenwich High School. To girls basketball on the scoreboard, Norwalk over Staples. Ludlow gets the win over Trinity Catholic. Ward all over New Canaan. Ward the best team in the FCAC. Wilton by 5 over Darien. It was Greenwich over Stamford. St. Joseph over West Hill. Ridgefield takes care of Central big time. And we move on to boys hockey now. Darien's David Voigt made 25 saves as the Blue Wave beat Fairfield 6-4 last night. Jake Kirby scored a couple of goals for the Wave in the victory. Also on the scoreboard, Trinity Catholic over Norwalk McMahon 4-3 in overtime. Stanford West Hill over Trumbull 7-3. Greenwich 5, Staples West and Shelton 1, and New Canaan over Wilton 8-1. Finally in overtime, Hamden beat St. Joseph 3-2. All right, outside of the FCAC, here's a story that is almost too good for the script writers. Notre Dame of West Haven rallied from a 2-0 deficit to Northwest Catholic to force overtime. That makes for a good game alone, but there's more to it than that. Lou Caliendo, the father of defenseman Doug Caliendo, died of cancer Wednesday afternoon, yet Doug played in the game for the Green Knights last night. That's where the story takes the turn as we watch this video courtesy of SportsEdge.com. Yes, indeed. That's Caliendo scoring the game winner 25 seconds into the extra session. Notre Dame of West Haven tops Northwest Catholic 3-2. Heck of a story, and you can see from the emotion there, heck of a job by Caliendo and the entire team really supporting him. And there's more on that story at Game Time CT. Joe Morella with a great write-up of the whole game. So crazy stuff there. Congrats to the entire team, and again, our condolences to the Caliendo family. Ridgefield over Fairfield 5-1. Greenwich takes care of Trumbull 7-2 in girls ice hockey. And in wrestling, winners were Danbury over Staples and Ludlow over Haddam Killingworth. From boys swimming and diving, Greenwich over New Canaan. To the schedule we go. It's the FCAC Championship in boys and girls indoor track and field, and Hill House is the site. The Floyd Little Athletic Center. We're on the air at 4:30 today. We will carry the whole thing live. Couple of boys ice hockey games. Brookfield Bethel Danbury at Mount Everett, Massachusetts, and Fairfield takes on Greenwich at the Hamel Rink. From wrestling, it's Darien at McMahon. And finally, you've all been waiting for it. We've been waiting for it. Wait no more. The Hartford Yard Goats have released their official jingle. Eric, play it for us.
Eat it up, the Hartford Yard Goats. Eat it up,
Eat it up. Come on, eat it up. Let's go. Hartford Yard Goats baseball time. I have to admit, they have marketed this team so well. Regardless of what you think of the stadium deal, and politically I still have my thoughts on that, but they have done a good job of marketing it. Their Twitter feed is great. The theme song, Make What You Want of It's kind of good for a laugh, but it does have me interested, and I said this to the guys off the air yesterday, to get some tickets and go to a game.
Oh, yeah. They're brilliant marketers, I got to say. They do a good job.
No, they've done a great job. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. We'll see you at 4:30. Big day today. I know you're coming out and joining us as well. It's going to be quite a day checking out track and field.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Looking forward to it. All right, Kate.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to some more news today, a group of New Canaan citizens that's asking the town for $50,000 annually to support a new financial and public service model for the building that used to house the Outback Teen Center has not received a positive response, and the advertiser has learned that the town funding is not forthcoming. The first selectman, the chairman of the town council, the chairman of the Health and Human Services Commission, and the co-chairman of the town council Health and Human Services Committee have had at least a couple of weeks either to endorse the hub's plan or say that they are not in agreement with the hub's plan. Regardless of their ability to fund it, they have declined to speak up. As of February 3rd, the town had not put $50,000 in the budget for the hub. The hub is a group of residents who are proposing that the former teen center be used by a tenant abilis to provide life skills and employment training to adults with developmental disabilities. The plan calls for the town of New Canaan to pay about $50,000 a year to subsidize it, enabling it to provide the space to abilis rent-free. The hub sees the possible $50,000 from the town to be its cost for having the service for adults with disabilities in New Canaan. And in some Shelton Herald news, from creating her own newspapers at a young age to earning the title of editor-in-chief at Sacred Heart Academy's school newspaper, Shelton's Abigail Kelly has now been selected as one of 12 students from across the country to report on the 2016 presidential election. Kelly was selected as one of 12 winners of the Chase the Race initiative, which was designed to empower students to play an active role, engage with, and better understand the electoral process in the run-up to the inauguration of the 45th President of the United States, and envisions 2017 Presidential Inauguration Leadership Summit in D.C. The students chosen to be reporters for the upcoming election were assigned an event to cover. Kelly was assigned Super Tuesday, along with another out-of-state winner, but you can get more on that at sheltonherald.com. And tonight, St. Vincent's Swim Across the Sound will host its annual sports gala and auction benefiting Connecticut police, fire, and corrections officer, as well as EMS, public safety dispatchers, and their families battling cancer. Legendary New York Yankee Bucky Dent will be the guest speaker at the event on February 4th at Anthony's Ocean View, New Haven. A silent auction begins at 5:30, followed by dinner with a cash bar at 7. Bucky Dent is a former American Major League Baseball player and manager who earned 2 World Series rings as the starting shortstop for the New York Yankees in 1977 and 1978. I'm sure Rob Adams could tell you much more about it, but that's the best I can give you.
Oh, I can tell you plenty more. I can tell you October 2nd, 1978, and Eric Gendron will cut my microphone off right there. Pass off Mike Torres, 5-4 Yankee playoff win. He was a good player. He was, handsome guy, loved by the, big favorite among the girls right around that time in the late 70s, early 80s. Managed the Yankees later on, was an all-star. Was a good, not great player, but had that moment, of course, Kate, in the 78 playoffs were just remarkable. And into the World Series, he continued to hit very well. We had a great World Series.
All right. Well, thanks, Rob. I knew you could add some insight. We're going to take a break. When we come back, maybe recap some of our top stories. We also have front pages coming up on your coffee break after this.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. The construction is incredible, whether it's the floors, the fireplace, the moldings, the lighting. It's as peaceful as my home was in the middle of the woods. It feels like a house. It does not feel like a condo or a townhome. I feel like I'm in my house.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Find over 1,000 special stories at Hospital for Special Surgery. Go to hss.edu/backinthegame.
I was jogging 5 months after my cartilage tear.
Skiing a year after hip surgery.
And playing grandma 4 weeks after hip replacement.
One special hospital, 1,000 special stories. See Connecticut patients at hss.edu/CT.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
You are watching the HAN network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
And we're back on this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and since it's Thursday, our editorial director, John Kovach, is beside me because we are taking a look at the front pages of our papers this week.
As we do every Thursday.
Yes, we do.
Taking a look at the Stratford Star, you've got stories that we've already mentioned, including Joe Gresko winning the special election to replace the late Terry Backer. He's replacing his boss. He worked with him. That was kind of the feeling
nice.
that's where it was going to go. But interesting.
Yeah, he won pretty handily, I saw.
Yeah, he did. That's the one. Stratford, if you look at the straight numbers, is heavily Democratic. If you look at the way it's districted, there aren't a lot of heavily Democratic districts.
Right, yeah.
It's unusually drawn. But Joe Gresko won the election Thursday, got sworn in Wednesday. The town council in Stratford is planning a review of the proposed renovations to Stratford High School. Those have been long in coming. They were discussing those when I was editor there. We're closing in on 5-6 years ago that I heard them first begin to discuss those. And kind of an inspiring story here, and it's about Uber joining with Wayne's Walk. And I was there when they dedicated Wayne's Walk. Wayne Liccardo and another man were killed by a drunken driver who also died in the crash years ago. And his friends have created a walkway because Wayne, when he was younger, named it such. It's a path that goes down to the beach, down to Short Beach. And they maintain it, and it's there as a reminder of a life lost to DUI through no fault of his own.
Yeah. And that's a great little thing in the Uber partnership. You can get some free rides through February. Good to hear. Oh, sorry, I'm taking a look at the Trumbull Times.
Yeah, I thought we go back and forth on this, right? I mean, I could jump right in. I'm okay.
I'm taking a look at the front page of the Trumbull Times right now. Lead story, Trumbull Day Commission disbanded. The town council, Republican-controlled town council, hands the responsibility to the Parks Department. Democrats all vote against it. There's only 4 Democrats, however, there. Democrats express the need for volunteers. So this is interesting. There's been a lot of controversy around Trumbull Day and the planning of it and the cost of it and the moving of it last year. So
it's troubling to see a community festival become the epicenter of so much political infighting.
I know.
Celebrate your community and do your bickering elsewhere.
Yeah, and one thing that I hope everyone can agree on is town planners in Trumbull are pushing for a parking solution. A lot of the new development, people have been complaining about the lack of parking. One of those, a shopping center where there's an Edge Fitness and there's Chips and a bunch of restaurants. The parking there is pretty tough.
Yes. I've gone to the gym there, and the parking there is pretty tough.
Yes, I think we actually celebrated something at one of those restaurants.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. That was some time ago.
That was some time
makes
ago.
Makes it even tougher to deal
Big
with, Kate.
5-0. All right, John, what else?
In Reading, the Joel Barlow debate team is winning awards, but the members of the team say it's more than that. It's they're learning how to think and how to express themselves and how to live. And they're crediting their coach, Randall Smith. Good story on that by Chris Burns of the Reading Pilot. The Board of Ed has put forth a 0% increase. There was some thought for maybe even taking that down a little bit, a split board vote there. And an interesting story of a mother and daughter who are both artists that Chris wrote. It's an interesting story of a woman who came here, the family came here from Italy. She told her parents one thing, and she's lived her life as an artist.
Wow, very cool.
And it's a very good little story.
All right, well, I'm taking a look at the Ridgefield Press. Interesting story that we've talked a little bit about on Coffee Break, which is this road work that's happening on Route 35 Danbury Road, which is leading to one lane of traffic, and it's just causing huge traffic disruptions. That road is very busy, and so obviously going down to one lane, even when it's not technically during a commuter peak, is an issue. As well as First Selectman Rudy Marconi in Ridgefield wanting to take a really serious look at Ridgefield's lack of compliance when it comes to Americans with Disabilities Act regulations, obligations. So he's looking for that. He really said it's simple things, sidewalks, doors, doorknobs, that they really need to take a look at about getting in compliance with some of those things.
It's actually more common than you would think in some of these older New England towns because they've had the same town hall for 100 years, 120 years. So obviously at that time, there was no such thing. Stratford, one of the town halls that struggles with that. I know in New Canaan it was a battle. Not all that long ago. It's an interesting to see that still being discussed in 2016.
I know. Well, it's nice that they want to take it seriously, but yes, important. What else, John?
Well, in Easton, the need for new people to step forward if they are going to preserve the Bradley Hubble homestead, and a look at portrait artist Raymond Everett Kinsler. Among his subjects, Paul Newman and Donald Trump. So it's timely there.
That is. All right, taking a look at the Darien Times. Of course, always an interesting story that gets a lot of attention. Schools top Darien's highest salaries. So a breakdown of some of the salaries in Darien. And a really nice feature story that I'm just starting to read now, titled For the Fallen, Middlesex teacher carries the weight of veterans every day. James Brochinski heads home every day from Norotan Heights to New Haven with his 22-pound weighted rucksack that he carries in honor of veterans.
That's a cool story, and that is one that should be a lesson to young journalists that there are stories everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, how many...
In every small community, no matter how small.
No matter where. How many thousand people walked by a guy with a backpack on his back and thought nothing of it?
Right.
And you've got this touching story there.
Very cool. And as well as the unfortunate story we've been talking about on Coffee Break, which was a pedestrian killed on I-95, a Stanford man, which they're calling an untimely death. So it's a little unusual. So there's still not a lot of details out yet about that.
Sometimes those incidents on the highway, particularly involving a pedestrian, take a while to figure out just what happened.
Right.
But that's a very high-speed section when it's not backed up. Taking a look at the Wilton Bulletin, Sensible Wilton has withdrawn its lawsuit, but they promise they will not go away. They're suing over a school renovation project. Been a lot of back and forth. I was kind of surprised to see the lawsuit be withdrawn. Ground has been broken on Phase 2 of Wilton Commons. That is an affordable living housing complex for senior citizens. A look at the 2015 real estate market, and this is another story that you come up on far too often. Low turnout at the school budget presentation. There's so few people show up at that, and that's where you can make a difference. And then they'll have the hearing, and a handful of people will get up and say the same thing.
Yep.
And nothing changes.
It's always the usual suspects, which is unfortunate.
Always.
Yeah. All right, taking a look at the front page of the Shelton Herald, story we just mentioned. Nice feature story by Aaron Berkowitz, the editor-in-chief at a local high school. School newspaper will cover the presidential election. She was chosen to do that. Very cool. And just a bizarre story I know we talked about last week. Man charged with DUI led police on a 30-mile chase the wrong way on Route 8.
One of our people who works on page design messaged me while working on the Shelton Herald this week and said the lead headline says that there was a 30-mile chase.
There's no way.
Down Route 8.
Right.
There's no way that could have happened.
Unfortunately.
No, there's no way. I'm telling you.
Read it. Yeah, even if you, I mean, it's very, he was driving on the rims of his tires because police employed stop sticks.
Yeah.
They parked in the middle of the highway. He hit the police cruisers. It was a very, very strange story.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Yes. A lot going on in New Canaan in terms of land use and real estate, where the grand list has grown and there's more than $1 million in new tax revenue. There's a high inventory, though, so it's a buyer's market in terms of housing, residential real estate. There's a new vision for a mixed-use building, and that's on Elm Street across from Carl Chevrolet, and Philip Johnson's Glass House, which is really just a neat building if you've ever had the chance to go there. They're looking to have larger events there, and that was always what the neighbors feared. They fought for years about that because the neighbors were concerned about massive influxes of traffic to events there and to tours there when they opened it up. They've avoided it thus far, but now it's coming up again.
Well, I'm taking a look at the front page of the Monroe Courier. The state boosting money it's going to give Monroe for town roads, so some good news there. And a land use group gathering feedback because throughout the 2015 election, the criticism of Monroe's land use group as being unfriendly to business was repeated over and over again. So now they're looking for some community feedback on that. As well as State Rep J.P. Strzynski talking business. He's right next to our friend Tony Wong, who we had in the studio this week.
Good interview. It's always good to run into Tony. I just never know where I'm going to see him.
I know.
He's in my neighborhood, so we run into each other.
Right.
Not that close, but the store, the coffee shop, the gas station.
He's everywhere.
But he really is.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the Weston Forum, we've got the Rabid Fox story that you brought us earlier, the election of 2 new fire captains, and congratulations to Steve Ash and Chuck Noble. The school's requesting a 1 2/3% budget increase, and Weston Girl Scouts sending some messages of hope to San Bernardino, that in the wake of the December mass shooting there.
All right, thanks, John. Well, taking a look at the front page of the Milford Mirror, a special celebration planned for City Hall's 100th anniversary. It will include bonfire, ice sculpting. Hopefully those two aren't too close together. And a hypnotist show. So that sounds like a lot of fun. And of course, we talked about this giant 15-foot snowman. I'm sure he is long gone now because it feels like, April outside. But very cool. He was going to be 18 feet, but I guess the snow wasn't so easy to pack. So he ended up being a 15-foot snowman built by a resident. Big story, Plaskin case, the case of the student who killed another student. That's continued to February. They haven't reached a deal yet. There have been talks about reaching some kind of plea deal. And another interesting story Jill's been following, St. Gabriel Catholic Elementary School. They've announced that it'll close after this school year, but parents haven't given up hope yet, so they're still continuing the fight there.
School news over the border in Westchester County from Lewisboro, where the headmaster of the Harvey School is going to step down after 30 years. That on the front page of our Lewisboro Ledger. A costume drive being held at the Northern Westchester School of Dance, and AMP closed there. And I hope I'm saying this right. DeChico's?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for, I got two people backing me up there. That's good to have. DeChico's, there was talk of it opening. It hasn't yet, but they're saying soon.
All right. All right, John. Well, thanks so much. Thank you for coordinating with me and wearing a navy blue jacket.
I don't push the limits too much in the wardrobe department.
All right. Well, it works. All right. That's going to do it for this Thursday edition of your Coffee Break. We'll be back tomorrow at 11, and of course we still have a lot coming up today. Check us out later. What time does track start today?
Track is 4:30.
4:30.
We've got Yankee Fisherman at 1.
Yes, Yankee Fisherman at 1 and A&L at 2.
A&L at 2.
Yes, all right. Thanks so much, John. Everyone, have a great Thursday.